All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling a question, this is a big one. It's something that sits underneath our entire reality, a question that scientists and philosophers have been wrestling with forever.
Really think about that for a second. When did time, start? We live our whole lives by the clock, but was there ever a moment when that cosmic clock was first wound up and started ticking? The very first tick.
The crazy thing is, science has a pretty specific answer. About 13.8 billion years ago. That's when the starting gun went off for everything we know. But just knowing the number isn't the whole story. How we got to that number, now that's where things get really fascinating. Okay, so let's start with what most scientists agree on. This is kind of the bedrock of modern cosmology, the theory that gives us our first real clue about how that clock got started.
Now, this is so important to get right. We all have this image of the Big Bang as a giant explosion happening in space, but that's not it at all. It wasn't an explosion in space, it was the creation of space itself. And here's the kicker. Time was born in that exact same instant. They're woven together, two sides of the same coin.
Okay, get ready, because this is where your brain might start to hurt a little. Before that moment, there was no before. I know, right? It's not that there was just blackness or emptiness. The very concept of a ticking clock, of a before and an after, it just didn't exist. There was no timeline for anything to happen on.
And I know what you're thinking. It's the most natural, obvious question in the world, isn't it? Okay, fine, but what happened before the Big Bang? Our brains just have to ask it.
And science has this fantastic, kind of frustrating answer. It's like asking, what's north of the North Pole? Seriously, think about it. If you're standing right on the North Pole, there is no north anymore. Every single direction you could possibly go is south. The concept of north loses all meaning. And that's the idea here. Maybe the concept of before just stops making sense when you get to the Big Bang.
But just when you think you've got it figured out, even with that brain-bending idea, science does what it does best. It starts questioning everything. And this is where we go from weird to, even weirder. So yeah, here's where it gets weird. That single starting point we just talked about, some of the smartest people on the planet are starting to question if it was a true beginning at all. You see, our current laws of physics, they just kind of break down at that very first instant. And that breakdown opens the door to some seriously wild possibilities.
So to get around this whole what came before problem, some cutting-edge theories, like in quantum gravity, are proposing something radical. They're hinting that maybe time didn't have a true beginning. Instead, what if our universe is just one in a long, endless line? A cosmic cycle, a Big Bang, expansion, a collapse, and then another Big Bang, over and over again. So you've really got two completely different ways of looking at this. One is a straight line, a single starting point, a true day one for the universe. The other is a circle. No real start, no real finish, just this eternal loop of creation. And that completely changes how you think about our existence, doesn't it?
So where does that leave us? Well, we're kind of caught between these two huge, powerful ideas. But that's not a bad thing. It's not like science has failed. No, this is the frontier. This is the edge of what we know. And it means we just have to sit with the mystery for a bit.
If we strip away all the speculation and just ask, what can we truly say today? What's the honest answer? Well, being honest about the limits of our knowledge is everything, because that's exactly where all the most exciting science is happening. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Time, as you and I experience it, is fundamentally tied to the birth of our universe. That part is pretty solid, but we also have to admit we don't know the full story. And you know what? That's the best part. That uncertainty, that gap in our knowledge, is the very thing that fuels every telescope, every particle accelerator, and every brilliant mind working on the problem. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Did the clock really start with the Big Bang? Was that the true, absolute beginning of reality? Or is it just the edge of our map, the point where our science currently stops, and a much deeper mystery continues? That's the question we're all living with. Thanks for digging into this with me.